Morning, everybody. Today's date is January 4th, 2025. We're going to begin, and it's 10 a.m. We're going to begin the Commissioner Status Update meeting. In attendance are Commissioners Eberline, Commissioner Duncan, and Commissioner Matari. I want to call this meeting to order. Are there any changes to the agenda? Hearing none. Public comment. Hearing none. Let's move to business. First item is Justice Building Update. It's a discussion item, and we have David Mendez.
Good morning, Commissioners. David Mendez with Turner and Townsend Heery. I've not provided you with an updated spreadsheet. It hasn't changed since last week. There are two items, though, that I would like to run past you. I've handed out an AIA document. That is an adjustment to the contractor's original contract. This does not change the value of the contract. It's already included in the GMP. Midway through construction, they had built in an increase in their labor rates for union agreements. That's a standard practice. So again, this is not a change to the GMP amounts. So it's a no-cost change. I'm intending to sign that in your behalf. Since $0 is within my approval limits, I thought that would be appropriate, but I needed to run it past you before I do that.
Well, thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
The second item I have is another change that I've brought up in the past. It's on your sheet. It's so we had a mock-up of the courts. So there's 3 courtrooms in this new building. We had a mock-up done. We brought the staff and judges into that mock-up and had them sit and look at the arrangement in the courtroom itself to make sure that one last look to make sure that everything's in the right location and positions for them. We had some changes that were made. Those changes resulted in $8,800 of additional costs, so that's divided by the 3 courtrooms. Basically moving the court recorder's desk location. It was in between the witness stand and the attorneys, and so they needed to have that shifted over to the other side. That required the moving of a floor box over to next to the judge's desk, so I'm intending to approve that. We've reviewed the costs with the contractor. There's been some back and forth on that. The architect has signed off on it, and I've reviewed the costs, and I'm recommending approval of that $8,800 for that for those changes.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Whose fault was it with the?
I'm going to put that on for you. There we go.
Who's at fault for those failures?
That's a little bit of a sticky question in this type of contract. This is a GCCM project, and so we go in with contingencies to cover. They start the construction sooner, faster, to get this delivered quicker. So a lot of the design is not completely finalized. So these things, meetings with staff, can end up in changes. So as to fault, that was kind of a standardized layout that the architect brought to the table, and so those changes were made as a preference by the judges that were going to be occupying those places. So as far as fault goes, I don't know that.
Yeah, because I don't want to pay the bill if they're doing it. So.
Yeah, no, that is that is a question that is often asked. But again, it's important to understand how this contract in particular works, and that we know that we're going to have some changes as the project goes along, and this is why we have that contingency. Currently, we've used 70% of the design contingency and about 29% of the construction contingency. So we have plenty of contingency remaining. We planned for changes like this, and it's a utilization of those funds.
And David, for Commissioner Eberline's benefit, could you just describe the total dollar amounts that we set aside, and then what's remaining roughly?
You know what? I don't have that sheet.
You don't have that?
So,
okay.
but roughly, we have 800,000 plus dollars for the design contingency and about the same for the construction contingency. It's 3% of the overall contract for each one of those. I think we have about 200,000 remaining in the design contingency and about 500,000+ remaining of the construction contingency. So
Good. Well, beat them down to the ground.
well, our goal was to return half of that money back to the project, the county. But that's a lot of times these contingencies are used up in a big portion of them in project betterment. So we say, well, we had to cut costs to save this or that, and at the end we go and value engineer some of those things that we had to cut out of it to make it a better usable project.
I'm sort of kind of a little bit unfamiliar with construction.
Pardon?
I'm sort of kind of familiar with a lot of construction.
Oh, okay. Okay. So this is a GCC or CMGC project, so it is a little different. It's an alternate delivery system. It's not a typical design, bid, and build project. So there's some overlap in some of the design and construction activities.
All right, good.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yes, is this 8,800 from the design contingency?
It is.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks.
Anything else? Nothing else? Thank you, David. Appreciate it. Next up, item 2, Agriculture Protection Area Advisory Board. It's a discussion with Pat Braden.
Pat Braden, Civil Deputy Prosecutor for the record. To be honest, this line item is here, and I'm not sure what needs to be discussed other than for Commissioner Eberlein's benefit. The legislature in this last session adopted or passed a bill requiring counties to establish agricultural or procedures for agricultural protection areas to be considered by an agricultural protection area advisory board and then ultimately adopted or not adopted by the Board of County Commissioners. And it's where each, an owner of rural property can put their, can apply to put their land or some of their land in an agricultural protection area to protect it from development for a period of, I think it's 20 years. Yeah. And then longer if they want to extend that. So we adopted an ordinance establishing the Agricultural Protection Area Advisory Board and providing for procedures for considering these applications. We passed resolution establishing the advisory board and the positions, when they would serve, staggered terms and all that. And so other than that kind of thumbnail sketch of what this item is, I'm not sure if the board has any questions about it or what you would like to discuss.
Anyone have any questions?
No, I can give a little bit of context. Though,
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, essentially there were procedural questions that Pat had answered in an email. And it just ended up on the status update. But I think we're in a good position right now. And soon, when Pat has bylaws done, they'll be able to call a meeting together of the APA.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me of that, by the way. It'll be on my to-do list. And if we could pass those questions and answers to Commissioner Eberlein, I think that would be helpful as well.
Well, that'd be interesting because we jumped from Justice Building to your subject, so it's like.
Yeah, probably brings back some memories too.
Just to clarify, there was also the question of the application that people would need to fill out in order for their lands to go into that. So whether that was a generic application or something that needed to be created.
I think Pat answered that question. And as long as Pat and Community Development are working together to make sure all the necessary information that is required by statutes on the application.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the discussion is that the board would report to community development. It likely would meet at most 2 times a year, and it just statutorily has to meet within 60 days of an application. So I'd be surprised if you even, maybe in the beginning you might get a few applications, but after that, it'll probably slow down pretty quickly. So,
I can visit with you later.
Yes, you can, anytime.
Thank you.
okay, any other questions? All right, thank you very much. Next item, number 3, Aquifer Protection District, applicant representative, Irrigation District, and we have Sarah Masters.
Yeah, going to fill in for Jonathan. He was lucky enough to find an applicant that had applied for our Ag Protection Board and wasn't selected. But in going through his application, he actually is part of a water district board, and the Aquifer Protection Advisory Board has a position that has to be filled only by someone that's part of a water district.
Irrigation
Irrigation
district.
district, thank you. And so just discussion from the board as far as if that is someone they would like to consider. Nisha was contacted and was in favor.
Questions, comments?
I'm happy just to call him, but if the board wants to interview him, I'd support that as well.
Commissioner Eberline?
No,
No? No, not to meet, or just no comment or
there's
question?
no comment.
Yeah, I'm happy to meet too, but we can do it individually. I know the next couple of weeks, we have travel and different schedules, so, but I'm, either way, or if you want to interview and just give an update, that's fine too.
Yeah, I can do that.
Because you were on that board, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you would know. Yeah, okay. All right,
Okay.
thank you. Okay, next up, item 4, WellPath Chapter 11, discussion. And we have Captain Jeremy Heil.
Good morning, Commissioners. Captain Jeremy Howell for the record here with Lieutenant Nancy Ellis. Just wanted to let you guys know we received word from our jail medical contractor that they have filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. And for those who don't know, Chapter 11 is reorganizing financials. They have been ordered by the court to have an ombudsman ensure medical care for the inmates is still where it should be. And as of this morning, the last update we got is medical care is being received as per contract. Our services are not being cut at all. And we will have another update from them the second week of February. And I can come back in front of you and update you on how that is, if it's going the same or any other issues. For those, Commissioner Eberline, for those, if you remember, it's a 1-year contract with them, and it is a renewing contract unless you give us direction to go through this process and try again.
Questions, comments?
Can you just make sure that juvenile detention stays updated until they get their medical situation?
Yes, ma'am.
Does it make sense to at least have a backup at some point or start thinking about that?
So it took us, I believe you guys gave direction in May to go out for bid. So we can get it done if we start in May again. We got this done by October 1st, so we can give it a month or two and see how it goes, and then keep in contact with the board and go with whatever your direction is. If it starts to go downhill, my recommendation would be to seek another contract, but there's always other contracts out there that we could potentially go through. But if it's gonna come out the other end clean, then I'd also hate to go through that process again too.
Oh, well, I'm not suggesting that you would leave. I'm just suggesting that you have a list in case you have to move
we've
quickly.
already been in contact at different conferences of other medical companies. So there are other ones out there that we'll try to reach out to if we need to.
Okay. Commissioner Eberline?
No.
Okay. All right. Anything else? No? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item, number 5, requests for grant of easement, lease, or MOU. It's listed as an action item, and we have Director Nick Snyder.
Good morning, Commissioners. Nick Snyder for the record. Good to see you this morning. So as the board's aware, and for Commissioner Eberline's benefit, in 2024, the county experienced a significant increase in requests for easements, land leases, and MOUs. And these requests came in through different departments, individual commissioners, emails to random employees, some of which were not even part of the process, and phone calls to various county departments. It was sort of coming in from all sorts of different directions, as the board knows. And that lack of structured request format caused some confusion and some frustration and inefficiencies to, well, otherwise a near perfect functioning organization here at Kootenai County. And the common denominator of those requests is that the requesting party would like the county to complete all of the work, pay for all of the associated cost of the request, and the expectation is that the county would grant the request without question, opposition, and the expectation of any contribution from the requesting party. And in whole or in part, these requests commonly end in some level of loss to public access, as we've previously discussed, for the benefit of a single party that typically, again, provides nothing in exchange for the exclusive right to occupy the public lands. So these easements or leases also make it more challenging for the county to trade, sell, or otherwise make changes in the future with those encumbrances in place. And so for all of the aforementioned reasons, the board asked for a recommendation to address these types of requests moving forward, which is before you for your consideration. And so community development was tasked to take sort of a grocery list that I put together and memorialize it into a document for board consideration, which is why it's an action item here this morning, Commissioners, in that if you're satisfied with the general questions and format, I would anticipate the board would consider giving direction to Parks and Waterways Community Development that all requests coming in the future meet this criteria before it comes before the board. And just some of the highlights for Commissioner Eberlein's benefit. Again, I know you just took a seat. It's sort of a grocery list, Commissioner, of things that the applicant would need to do rather than the department. Historically, council, department heads, people like Ben Tarbutton and members of the community development team or Parks and Waterways would do all of the upfront work. Attorneys would write the leases. We would deal with regulatory agencies, permitting agencies, and do 100% of the work. This document is an outline for those applicants, you need to get this done before they come before the Board of County Commissioners. If the board would then like to move forward or grant easement, then we could work through that process with a lot less work for our staff. As one example, maybe a licensed attorney writes the lease or the easement for somebody like Mr. Braden to review rather than Mr. Braden writing it on their behalf. Or if they want to come, if they have a request, they come before the board and make their pitch. It's not Ben Tarbutton or someone else from community development or Parks and Waterways doing so. So that's sort of what we envision, and if the board is supportive, I would ask for direction to implement that moving forward to use as the baseline for all future requests. And I think it's going to be a relief to our staff and the board.
Thank you.
That's what I have.
Questions, comments?
I would like to visit with Mr. Snyder personally and go over some of this stuff because you and I have gone around on some other things, so I'd just like to see what this is all about.
Be a pleasure to book a time.
Good.
I'll get it done.
If the board so desires.
Yeah, that's not a problem. This is not a big rush or anything, but I would ask that all the requests come into one location, and then it can fill out this questionnaire and then come before the board. So I'd like a little bit of a structure to it, because right now we could have 3 or 4 departments bring us this information. So it'd be nice to, if you want an easement, you go to the Board of County Commissioners, they give you this, you start here, and it doesn't have to be the BOCC, but it has to be one department.
You know, that's a good idea, although I have to ask. Sometimes when you get the same questions coming from different sources, you can get different answers from the same person. Sometimes, depending upon the departments. But I think you're referring to streamlining, correct?
Yes, so we don't have 4 departments coming forward with easements. We have, they start in one location.
Okay.
And it's much like the.
Never mind, I misunderstood your comment.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think Pat Braden, Civil Deputy Prosecutor, if I could just jump in, I think it would benefit. I mean, I've reviewed and approved what's before you, but I think it would also benefit from having a procedure in place by, where do these go initially? Which departments does it get referred to? Who is it referred, which one is it referred back to and when? And so, to coordinate between the Board of County Commissioners, Parks and Waterways, Community Development, and our office.
Commissioner, to your point, the document has community development's name on it, so we sort of envision that all requests would at least be generated at their office, and community development is well advised of all the players in the county. If they see that that affects a recreational trail or something else, I would envision they would then reach out to Parks and Waterways, and we would have that discussion. So that's sort of what we envision on the document before you, is that all requests would go through community development.
Sure.
And commissioners, if I may piggyback on that, we're perfectly fine taking the lead as Nick described, but for the public and our sister agencies, it might have more gravitas, if you will, by having the county commissioners logo across the top rather than community development. Then we could still take the lead if that's your desire.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that, but what I don't want to happen is too much staff time be spent on this before you come before a status update or a community development. If you're going to be the lead, then I'm happy to handle them on Thursday mornings at community development. And then that way the person just, might get through this document, and then we'd be able to review it, because I don't want them spending money on legal and all that stuff if the BOCC is going to not approve.
Got it.
That makes sense.
Fair enough, yeah. No. So we'll just have Commissioner Eberline work with you and get this back on another meeting in the next week or two.
I'll get it done. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Next up, item 6, selection of Commission Board Chairman Pro Tem pursuant to Idaho Code 31-706, and this is an action item, and that is to be discussed among us. Who would like to start?
I'll start the ball.
Okay.
I would nominate Leslie Duncan.
I think that would be just fine unless you object.
I'm fine.
Okay. So I guess we should make a motion on that.
Yes.
I make a motion to adopt Commissioner Duncan to be Chairman Pro Tem, and do I need it for you?
No, just per Idaho Code 31-706, and I'll second the motion.
All right.
Commissioner Eberline,
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan,
Aye.
Chair Matari.
Aye. Okay. Next up is item 7, selection of commissioner representation. It is listed as an action item, and we could start with departments. Who would like to start? Well, I'll just set the tone a little bit. There's only a couple that I was really interested in maybe keeping for departments, just because I've started, and we're just talking about BOCC departments right
Correct.
now.
Yeah.
And that's just community development, because we started a project this past summer. We actually, for Commissioner Eberline's benefit, we flow charted out the permitting process. There's no metrics or reports of how efficient we're getting permits through community development. And so we sat down and flow charted it out. We identified places where we could start logging with a date and time of events that occur in community development, so we can start developing reports so we can see what the turnaround time is. And when we started this project, we were somewhere in the 70-plus days for turnaround on a building permit, and now we're down into the 30s, 20s, something like that right now. And so it would be my desire, if the board agrees, to continue this process and develop more operational efficiency within that department. And hopefully it will lead to less staffing requirements based upon efficiency and workload.
I'm fine with that. Mark, are you fine with?
I would like to be interactive with the community development.
Yeah, and, maybe, if it's okay with this board, I'd just like to just make a couple of comments, observations, really, just after completing 2 years as a commissioner. I like the liaison system in the sense that it gives the department heads an opportunity to communicate with a commissioner without actually us getting together to have a board meeting for every little thing. But it does open the door for, we have directors whose job descriptions say, I report to the board, but, we have these commissioners who work as liaisons. And my personal opinion, just from my observations, is I think, of course, every commissioner should be able to work with any director at any time for any issue. It really is just kind of a, here's what I have going on. Should we bring this before the board type communication, or what do you think, so that we can prepare it to bring it before the board if it's an issue. But I really see the liaisons as just kind of the formal communication, but every commissioner should be able to communicate with anybody in the county at any time for any reason.
Yeah. And that's kind of how, at least we've operated. I've operated for 6 years that way, and, on this board, we've operated for 2. So it does not preclude you from working with community development at all. You can go and meet with David in as much time as you want. But for this particular project, I think I would just still like Commissioner Matari to be the lead on that, to finish what he started.
Yeah, and that's fine. If it's just a matter of just continuing to work with them, and you want to be the liaison, that's fine too. It's really just a matter of, I think this is just a formal communication methodology. It's not a territorial
Correct.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Because Brooks was actually the liaison when you started this project.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's fine if you would like it as an assignment. But I kind of look at these, and I think Commissioner Duncan agrees that these are just formal assignments and not necessarily territorial type situations.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it was formal.
Yeah, and here's the issue, and this again is an observation. What happens if a commissioner tells a director to do A, but the other commissioners might not agree with A, they might want B?
They don't have that opportunity.
Well, then the director is put in a position to, if I do what A says, even though my job description is to report to the board, and the board may not give that same direction, it creates a workplace issue too, because if the person says no to that liaison, then, have they said no to the board? Do they have to worry about, any future environmental situations, things like that? And that just, again, is an observation that I see as a weakness with this if we make it too strict that way. Oh,
I mean, it doesn't matter. You started this project, so if,
Well, how about if we, for this one, it's the only one that I'm really, that interested in, and possibly the airport as well, just because I started working with the FAA. We had a number of issues at the airport that we have been working on, and we still have a little bit more to go.
So, yeah, the airport's one I wanted, because
Yeah.
I hadn't had them yet, and I too have been through all the FAA
Yeah.
stuff because it started before you got here.
Yeah, so, but I'm going to let you two kind of discuss it and figure it out. If you really want these positions, I'm okay with it. Because, again, I see it as not being territorial, but that the commissioners should be able to work with anyone, anytime, ask information,
Yeah.
so that they can do their jobs.
Yep. It's just a bottom-up situation with the liaison. So if somebody has a question on procedure, contract, something like that, they go to their liaison. But each commissioner has a duty to be engaged and involved in each of the departments.
Well, I think it's important, too, that all the commissioners operate off the same information. I've said this before, that, we can disagree on policy, but we should agree that we should all be looking at the same information. And, so that's something that I think is important, that, we try to get as much stuff before the board if it has anything to do that's meaningful.
And that should be a no-brainer.
Well, it should be, but it is one of those areas where it's kind of subjective, and we have to kind of think about, is this really something that, should be brought before the board? And, does it have the potential to get legs and become a bigger issue if the board isn't involved? So it's probably one of the things that's changed since you were here before, but something that's been, I think, in place since I've come on board, so.
Oh, I think we had a lot of interactions with all departments down through the years. This isn't something new.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to finish community development. Once we get that done, I'm happy to, rearrange it. We can change this at any time. So I don't really have an issue with that, if you don't have an issue with that.
Make a vote.
Well, I think, to me, it'd be better if we didn't vote individually, if we just kind of marked down and then accepted it as a whole. Or did you want the opportunity to vote yes or no on individuals? Does that make sense?
It probably would be easier just to go down the list and then make one motion.
Okay. All right.
Mark, did you have a particular department?
No, I like all the departments.
Yeah.
We got some really good people out there that do really good stuff, and Kootenai County is very fortunate to have those people.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I have no animosity towards any one of them.
Nope. I want them all, is usually what I say.
Pardon?
I want them all,
Sold.
is usually what I say.
You can have them all.
Yeah, that happened before. No. Well, okay, if you don't mind, can we just start alphabetically? Do you have them alphabetically?
On this list, I have the old liaison assignments.
Oh, okay. I was just
AMP.
going down this.
We have you as listed on that, Leslie.
Right. So I was figuring Mark might want to do that since he was very familiar with AMP in the beginning.
Adult misdemeanor probation.
Fine.
Okay.
Not a very glamorous position.
And then again, I would like airport. I mean, that doesn't preclude you from finishing what you're working on and all that. I just have never had them in 6 years.
Sold.
Okay.
Do you have another copy?
I do not, but we can work off that
So,
together.
Mark, in your packet, you should have lists of the departments.
Yeah, this is the most recent with our assignments.
I know, but I don't.
Pardon? Number 7?
I would assume that BOCC administration would fall under me.
Yep.
Next up would be buildings, building and grounds.
I would like to. I'll wait till Mark. It looks like he's on the page.
Okay.
Okay, so far, Mark, we have adult misdemeanor probation is you. I'll take the airport. BOCC administration is the chair. And then building and grounds. I would like them only because of the movement that's going to be happening when the building is done, the Justice Center expansion. Is that okay? Mm-hmm. All right. And then community development, did we decide, are you all right with Bruce taking that one? Or you want to be the liaison and just have Bruce continue his project?
And I'm fine either way.
Pardon?
I'm fine either way.
I wouldn't mind having community development.
Okay.
All right. IT, are you,
I have the transportation for some reason, but yeah, IT, if you want to keep me there, that's fine. If you don't, it's fine too.
I'm fine. Are you good with, if Bruce stays with IT? Or is that
Yes.
something you want? Okay.
Computers.
Juvenile detention, juvenile probation, I would like those back if you're amenable to that. I figured the way the count works is 4, 4, and 5, and I don't mind taking 5 at this point since I have a lot less duties now.
Look, I'm fine with that. You know, the one thing that was kind of dear to me with that, and hopefully we can continue that, is to get more dogs into these schools to discourage kids from bringing drugs to the campuses. And I know that that caused a little kerfuffle last go around, but you know, it's we're under attack the way I see it with our kids. But that's outside of, you know, a lot of what they do day to day. So detention and probation for you,
Yeah.
Leslie?
Yep.
Mark, you good with that?
Yeah.
And then parks, waterways, noxious weeds, snow groomers. Mark, would you be interested in that?
Yeah.
So you need to work with. Okay. And since you were gone, they got snow groomers, so Nick has 3 departments now.
Pardon?
Nick now has 3 departments.
Oh, he loves it.
Yes. Okay, Repro? Anybody want that one?
That's a very demanding one, isn't it?
I think it's probably the most demanding we have.
Yeah. Mark, would you like that?
I can take it.
Okay. All right. Solid waste is another one of those that I have never had, and so I would be willing to take that one if it's agreeable.
Yep.
And then transit. 1, 2. I can stay with transit, or Mark, if you wanted to go with transit.
You can have transit.
You want transit? And then I would suggest Bruce for Veteran Services because he has some service background, and I think some of the issues that Tom finds himself in the middle of would be best handled by somebody who's been in the service and not a female.
Well, and someone who's actually dealt with the VA like he has had to, and I can assure you that it is a labyrinth of red tape. And I think most veterans who have ever had to deal with the VA know that.
All right?
Are we good with that?
Yeah. Are you comfortable with that, Mark?
Sure, I've only got 3 places.
So I will repeat that out. Adult misdemeanor probation, Commissioner Eberline. Airport, Commissioner Duncan. BOCC administration, myself. Building and grounds, Commissioner Duncan. Community development, Commissioner Eberline. Transportation department, this is out of order here for me, but Commissioner Duncan. IT, myself.
I think Commissioner Eberline was taking transit.
Transit? No, did you want transit?
I can.
Oh,
You-
I thought you said no.
Well, I thought you wanted it.
No, I'm okay
No,
with it.
no, I said I would keep it, or if Mark wants it, and I thought you said you would take it.
Okay,
Either
then
way.
Commissioner Duncan.
I'll take
For
it.
you
You'll
want
take
it? Okay.
okay.
So Commissioner Eberline. IT, myself. Juvenile detention, Commissioner Duncan. Juvenile probation, Commissioner Duncan. We don't have public defender or conflict attorneys. Parks and Waterways, Commissioner Everline. Reprographics, Commissioner Everline. Solid Waste, Commissioner Duncan. Veteran Services, myself.
Sounds good. And I would say, because this is just one item, if you wanted to go and do elected officials advisory board and community organizations before we vote, or we can vote individually.
We'll just do it individually.
Okay.
So I'll take a motion.
I move that we approve the department liaisons as lined out.
Second.
Commissioner Eberline,
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan,
Aye.
Chair Matari.
Aye. Okay, elected officials. Again, I would argue that the same concept holds, that there's no real territory. If an elected official wants to work with somebody, they can. It's really just an official communication channel. The only one that I would be interested in keeping is the clerk, but I will leave that to either of you to discuss and what you would like.
Sure. I found it helpful that when I got on board, and just like you found it helpful when you got on board, to have the clerk. So I would say, Mark, if you wanted the clerk, it's just helpful to have when you're first starting out. Not that you're first, but.
Whatever you want to do. I'm easy.
All right. I think that the one that I would just want to keep would be the district judges until until everybody's moved in.
The
On the
district
back of that
judges.
page.
I thought we were working on elected officials.
We are. They're considered in the elected official section. You got those up there, Mark? Yeah.
You know, that's one that I haven't done, and I would like to do that one, just to get more acclimated with it. If I'm going to give up the clerk.
Okay, so just so you know, there's a new trial court administrator coming on board, and the move. So it'll be a lot to get up to speed, but I know you can do it.
Thank you. Assessor?
You've started with them. I don't know if you want to
Which
keep
one
with
did you
them.
plug me in with? Clerk?
I put you in with the clerk.
Okay.
The assessor, are you interested in that, Mark?
Yes, I'll do that.
Coroner?
I can keep the coroner if somebody else wants him. It's fine with me. And again, this is going to be a 2, 2, and 3, or 3, 3, and 1, depending on the sheriff. Usually has been by themselves, but either way. So I'll take coroner. You want a district judge, I would take prosecutor, or it doesn't really matter, the last 3.
Yeah, I'm good with either of them. Commissioner Eberline, tell us which ones you're inclined to want to work with, which would be these last 3 here.
All the sheriff, the treasurer, and the prosecutor. And that
Yes.
kind of
Yes.
stuff.
Yeah.
I'll go with the prosecutor.
Commissioner Duncan, do you have a preference on either one of the last 2?
I'll take the sheriff if you want to take the treasurer.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, so I have the assessor, Commissioner Eberline, the clerk, Commissioner Eberline, the coroner, Commissioner Duncan, district judges, myself, the prosecutor, Commissioner Eberline, the sheriff, Commissioner Duncan, and the treasurer, myself. Is that correct?
Okay.
Take a motion.
I move that we approve the liaisons for the elected officials as outlined.
Second?
Commissioner Eberline,
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan,
Aye.
Chair Matari.
Aye. Next up, advisory boards.
So some of these, I like to keep with the
These-
departments.
Excuse me. We don't have the same information on these different things.
Yeah, this was printed up myself. Yeah.
You're hopping around, and so it's like, where are you
Yeah.
at?
So Mark, you should actually have this one.
I do have that one.
That's
So-
what I've been going off.
I will go off of what's in here.
Okay, good.
Advisory Board Liaisons. So the first one is the Agricultural Protection Area Commission.
So that would be
Which-
Mark,
Yes.
and then Airport Advisory Board would be myself. See, okay. There's a few of these that we haven't made decisions on the community outreach yet, so we'll have to, I guess, figure those out along the way. So whoever takes Basin Commission probably should do Aquifer Protection along with Natural Resource Advisory Board. And I know Mark's been on the Basin Commission. I'm on the Basin Commission now, and if Commissioner Eberline is agreeable, then I'd like both of us to kind of be involved in Basin Commission until you're fully up to speed again, and then we can make that flip-flop.
All right.
So would you like to take Aquifer Protection and Natural Resources now in anticipation of by the end of 2025, you'll be on Basin Commission?
I'll leave that to you. I think, I'm not going to take it right away.
Okay, okay.
So you want to keep Aquifer?
I will keep APD, and I will keep Natural Resource Advisory Board. Okay, so then Board of Community Guardians. Would you like that one, Mark?
Pardon?
Board of Community Guardians?
That would be number 4.
Number 4.
Yes.
I've never done that.
Okay.
All right, so we'll put you down.
All right.
5 is Fleet Management Committee.
I've been on that one, and I'll stay, or if somebody else is interested, that's fine, either way.
That one we spend a lot of money on.
Yeah.
Did you want to take that one on, Mark?
Which is that?
Fleet.
Fleet Management?
And actually, it's natural because both Parks and Waterways and AMP are heavily involved in that committee. So
All right,
that makes sense.
we'll do that.
Okay.
Historic Preservation, I've had that, if someone would like that. They're actually becoming a little more active.
Yeah. I'm fine if you want to keep that one unless Mark has a preference.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Eight is the Fair. I would like to take that one this time.
Okay. Is that all right, Mark?
Yep.
9, Noxious Weed.
Would be Mark. Planning and Zoning is going to be Mark. Snowmobile is Mark. And Parks and Waterways is Mark.
So Mark is getting what?
From 9 on down, and that's just because of your liaisons. But the Noxious Weeds meets twice a year. Snowmobile Advisory Board meets a couple times a year. Obviously you don't have to go to the advisory board meetings. You're just the liaison in case the chair has a question.
So you got 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, 11, or 9, 10?
But you don't have
12.
3. I took 3. So you would have 1, 2,
4,
3, 4, 5,
5.
6, 7.
9, 10, 11, 12.
Yeah, 7 total. And if it becomes a problem, then just let us know and we'll rearrange stuff.
Okay, so I'll just run through this real quick here.
Okay.
For Agricultural Protection Area Commission, Commissioner Eberline. For Airport Advisory Board, Commissioner Duncan. For Aquifer Protection District Advisory Board, Commissioner Duncan. For Board of Community Guardian, Commissioner Eberline. For Fleet Management Committee, Commissioner Eberline. For Historic Preservation Commission, myself. For Natural Resource Advisory Board, Commissioner Duncan. For North Idaho Fair Board, myself. For Noxious Weed Control Advisory Board, Planning and Zoning Commission, Snowmobile Advisory Board, Parks and Waterways Advisory Board will be Commissioner Eberline.
Yeah. But, Mark, I'll take Board of Community Guardians if you want.
All right.
Okay, I'll take that one instead.
Okay, so we will,
Yep. Alleviate some of that.
so Board of Community Guardian will be Commissioner Duncan.
Okay.
Motion?
I move that we approve the advisory board liaisons as outlined.
Second.
Commissioner Eberline,
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan,
Aye.
Chair Matari.
Aye. Okay, last item on this business item is community organizations.
Now, which page are you on?
All right, this is
Yeah, just turn your page, Mark. You should be on the second page. It's the long list.
the 17-item list.
Yeah,
If there isn't enough on your plate right now,
there you go.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so it sounds like I'm keeping Basin, and maybe Mark would be my backup. Is that okay?
Yeah, fine.
Okay. And
all right,
then,
CDA Chamber of Commerce Board Liaison, I've been doing that. I don't mind doing that or continuing that because it's Coeur d'Alene. I think we actually divide up between Hayden, Post Falls, Chamber boards, so.
yeah, we can do that. Centennial Trail Foundation typically goes with Parks and Waterways, but I'm familiar with that board, and if Mark seems that he doesn't want to take on anything else, or, you know, I can keep it, it's either one.
Mark, would you like Centennial Trail Foundation?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. 5, Community Action Partnership Board of Directors.
So we actually, the only thing we do with that one is appoint a representative for the county. So that's 0 to very low commitment.
So Commissioners, I just want to remind you that we had, Commissioner Brooks had appointed or had recommended, we had local attorney Corey Smith. I don't know if you remember, that was about a year and a half ago. So that's who we had appointed. His term actually expired yesterday. So if you wanted to reappoint him to take that position, we can fill out the paperwork and have you sign it.
Well, I'm okay with that, just for continuity
Yeah,
at this
I'm-
point,
I'm
unless
okay
you
with
want to.
Fine.
Okay. So that was, what was the attorney,
Corey Smith?
Corey Smith?
Yeah, if you want to put it on a business meeting. I don't mind taking that because, again, it is like a 0 time. So,
So do you want that as opposed to Corey Smith? Or-
No, 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 no,
Oh,
no.
oh, you appoint,
No.
you appoint, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, it would just be the contact liaison. There's no actual work, so.
Okay. District Magistrate Commission,
I kind of,
self.
right. Well, it can be you, or you can appoint a designee. My only issue with that is because it's tied to public defense, that board also picks the regional defender. So,
Well, I'd like to try that one out.
okay,
7, Hayden Area Regional Sewer Board.
I would like to keep that until dissolution.
I would argue that you should keep that
Okay.
because that has had a lot of challenges, I think, in the last couple of years. Unless you have any comment, Commissioner Eberline? No?
I would ask that, Bruce, you keep the alternate position just because you've been in the dissolution meetings.
Okay with you?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd like to keep KCEMSS. I think we're heading in a good direction and finally got my feet under me.
I'm okay with that, unless Mark has any questions or comments?
Go for KPMO. KPMO.
KMPO is next. Do you want that one? That makes sense with community development. And then Bruce, do you want to stay as alternate on that one?
For KMPO?
Do you want to keep it?
Yeah, they got me at vice chair on that one right now. I'd like to keep it, but can I think about that for a little bit? Have you as an alternate at least for a month or two?
Yeah, I've still got my jacket with the KPMO.
Yeah, I think I have your KMPO notebook too. Would that be okay? I'd like to think about that a little bit.
Go for it.
All right. Thank you. Okay. North Idaho Crisis Center Board.
Mark, this is the one that you're familiar with. It started under your,
Yes, it is.
you want to do that?
I'll let you take care of it.
What? Here I was being all nice. Bruce, you want that
There's a
one?
lot of good stuff that takes place there,
Absolutely.
and it's very useful program. But no, I've been there before, and it's you can shed a tear or two in there.
I'll take it.
Yes, I'm on the PAC board, and I'd like to keep that just because there was a little extra criteria to get in there. And I
Fingerprints.
just started it within the past year, so.
Fingerprints,
Yeah,
blood of your
background,
firstborn.
Yep.
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 Okay. Mark, do you want to be alternate on PAC board, or you want me to do it?
Is it something that you want to do?
Not particularly. I was on it for a while, which is, it's a great board, but it's just the alternate position.
I'll be an alternate.
Okay. 15, Panhandle Health District Board.
So on this one, we actually have two representatives already, Dr. Jameson and Dr. Duke Johnson. So I don't mind, since I have the corner again, I don't mind being that representative because, again, I won't be attending meetings or anything. So,
Does that work for you?
What's that?
Panhandle
on
Health.
Panhandle Health District Board. It's item 15.
Yeah. Can do that.
Well, you want to do it, or Leslie?
Either one.
I don't mind doing it.
Okay.
So, okay,
16, Panhandle Health District Annual Budget Considerations.
that's you. You have to take that one.
And 17, Region 1 Behavioral Health Board.
It's once a month, and you can attend by Zoom or all that. I've been on that board before. You want to take that one, Mark? Or?
I'll take it.
Okay, so I'm just going to run down the list for each of the commissioners.
Okay.
For Commissioner Duncan, I have item 1, item 5, item 7, item 9, item 12, item 15.
So I missed one. I thought Mark was doing community action partnership, but I can do it. It's not a problem. Again, it's low. Right,
Yeah, because we already have the attorney appointed, so.
Correct. Yep, that's fine.
Which
I
one?
just marked the wrong thing on
Number
my list.
5? Unless you want that?
Do you want it?
I'll keep it. It's just there's nothing involved, so yeah. Yeah, I'll keep that one.
Take it.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so is that list correct? Did I rattle
1,
off there?
5, 9, 12, 15. Yeah.
Okay, all right, and for Commissioner Eberline, I have item 2, item 4, item 11, item 14, and item 17. And for myself, I have item 3, item 6, item 8, item 10, item 13, and item 16. Does that sound correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'll take a motion.
I move that we approve the board representatives as presented.
Second.
Commissioner Eberline,
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan,
Aye.
Chair Matari.
Aye. Okay, on to item 8.
Well,
Commissioner-
actually, we've got the last other representatives, which if we just keep it the way it is, are commissioner districts, except for LEIPC. Well, no, we have to go through it, sorry. Other representative positions, there's 5 of them.
Yeah, it just wasn't on the agenda. That's fine. Hayden Chamber of Commerce, I believe that's
me.
you, Commissioner Duncan.
Yeah.
Local Emergency Planning Committee, were you doing that?
I
or-
was doing that, then you started doing it, but I can take it back over being the sheriff liaison. Are you all right with that?
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it's no actual action needed.
Well, I guess I'll be on Post Falls Commerce.
Okay?
Okay.
And then I'm on Rathdrum, unless, Mark, because your district kind of comes up to Rathdrum as well. So if you want 2, otherwise I'll keep Rathdrum.
All right, it's closer for you.
Okay. And then U of I.
Which I've been doing, unless you want to do it.
What's that?
University of Idaho Extension Office.
You can do it if you want to.
Sure. Okay.
Makes sense with the fair.
So we have for Commissioner Duncan, items 1, 2, and 4. And for Commissioner Eberline, item 3. And then for myself, item 5.
Okay. I move that we approve the other representative liaison positions.
Second.
Commissioner Eberline,
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan,
Aye.
Chair Matari.
Aye. Okay, now on to item 8, Commissioner Division of Duties.
Which is just a continuation of what we already started as far as division of duties. Again, our liaisons come up to us, but we have the ability to go to any department to get any information or, whatever's needed. A lot of times, who's ever in the office will get phone calls or people coming in. So would you like to handle those via commissioner districts, or how would you like to do that? I'll give you an example. If I'm in the office and no one else is, somebody from Cougar Gulch contacts me and says, hey, I have this problem. I'm not going to be familiar with the area like you are. So my suggestion would be that we handle it per commissioner district. Because like, for instance, I know a lot of stuff that's going on in Athol. And so if somebody reaches out from Athol to Mark, then he has the opportunity to handle it or the opportunity to pass it off to that commissioner district. So it wouldn't preclude a commissioner from handling that, but they would be able to pass that off.
Well, look, my take on it is that whatever's best for the citizen is what really should happen. So, I think just if someone contacts me and it's an issue I can help them with, I want to help them. If it's something that goes beyond my scope of knowledge and Commissioner Duncan, you're better suited for it, then there's nothing wrong with doing a handoff, provided that that's what the citizen is good with.
Sure. Okay.
I agree.
All right.
Okay. And the final item is BOCC Town Hall, February 5, 2025.
Yeah. So I just wanted Commissioner Eberline to know that the past board had a quarterly town hall. And if you were interested in continuing that, it was a commissioner town hall. For me, I will hold town halls when the citizens ask me to based on specific information. But just having a quarterly town hall with the commissioners, I could leave more than take.
And I'll just give you some additional context. The idea behind it, and I think quarterly is probably too frequent because we have the last town hall, I think the attendance was pretty low. But the idea is really an opportunity for people to ask questions to the board, ask about policy, to really keep it open. And that, one of the things that the community generally doesn't get in situations like this, or that they would get with the town hall, is the fact that commissioners typically can't be in the same room together talking about county-related issues and policies unless it's a publicly noticed meeting and it's clerked and things like that. And so this is an opportunity to ask a question in front of all the commissioners and hear what they have to say. And, they get the benefit of the back and forth in case there's differences on the policy or just a discussion point. And it's clerked and it's publicly noticed. But I would argue that we should reduce the frequency of it. And if at some point, whether it's biannually or annually, we just are not getting attendance, then I would have no problem just saying, we tried.
I would agree to annually.
People want to know what their commissioners are doing, and it's difficult to find them a lot of times because we're busy and we don't. I think it's a great idea to have an annual meeting or something like that, or if there's something that comes up that the commissioners attend and just.
Yeah. I would like to reduce it to every 6 months. If that doesn't work, then annually.
Fine with 6 months.
Yeah. So the quarterly is, I think, was too much. I agree on that. But every 6 months, we could try that. If it ends up, it's the three of us and a clerk and no one in
Staff.
the audience.
It gives the clerk something to do too.
Yeah, well. So then we'll just reduce it to every 6 months. And should we skip the first one? Did you want to skip that? Okay, so we'll skip that. And then it'll be the second quarter and fourth quarter of the month or
Yeah.
of the year.
I think the fourth quarter is going to be difficult, but we'll start with the second quarter and go from there.
What makes you think the fourth quarter will be difficult?
Only because you have, depending on how late in the quarter you do it, you have holidays and all that.
Okay, so when's the next one after?
So if we do, the second quarter would be, April, May, June. And then if you go to the fourth quarter, I think that's.
Why don't we just
October,
why don't we just agree end of March and end of September?
We can do
It'll be
that.
right after the budget season.
Yeah, so I would say beginning of September, end of September is hard, or beginning of October.
Last Tuesday in March or first Tuesday in?
I don't have my calendar, but we can get with staff to
All
look
right,
at that.
so we'll just do end of March, beginning of April, end of September, beginning of October.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
All right, that concludes business. Public comment. Anyone on the line, Jonathan? No public comment? All right, well, 11:08, meeting adjourned. Thank you.